Okay, here we go.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back. The bill of sound, the charge begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of mercury smoke and heartless breath is a virgin into certain death.
All right, brother.
Hello, Melbourne. Hello, world.
We're back for another episode of Powerhouse Live, episode 9.
Episode 9.
How good's that? 9 episodes.
Just something about the number 9.
Number 9. I remember that, brother. You and I were talking a couple of years ago. Here's a quick story. It's just come off the top of my head, which is amazing. Anything off the top of my head is amazing. Kane and I spoke a couple of years ago about doing a storyline in NAW and for the Soldiers of the Highway where we were going to use the number 9 to start freaking you out. Because I think the Beatles had a song called Number 9 and it just goes, I think it might be on the White Album.
Yeah, it's creepy as hell.
It just goes, it's endless. Just goes number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. And we spoke about maybe doing a little storyline that to make you go a little bit funny in the old head and taking it out on people. Never sort of came to fruition. It was actually a good idea, I thought.
Yeah.
But we could have used that. We can't use it now because we've just told everyone. If you want us to use the number 9 storyline in NAW and that, message the War Machine. Don't message me.
Takers 0.
Yes, takers 0. How have you been, sir?
Excellent. Yourself? I mean,
good.
Stressed and a bit good. Everything's going well. Yourself?
I'm good. Now, some people say, Paul, you look very, white in colour. It's because the StreamYard, which we use, is the software for the show. The whole thing is in white, so it's very loud. As in brightness.
With black curtains.
Yeah. So if anyone's wondering, Paul, why are you so bright? It's because of the monitors that I use here to do the show. Yeah, it's a little bit red tonight, probably as usual. I've got a drink handy. Brother, are you ready for a big show? We've got another big show lined up.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We have got NAW
Hall of Famer
Mike Manson. He's going to be on the show very soon. And we've also got one of your arch nemesis, one of mine as well. His name's Tass.
Both of these guys have been my arch nemesis at stages.
Tass is going to be with us. We can't wait to have him on the show. Now, I know I've been, there's been some pictures of Tass I've been putting up, and of course he's got in contact with me saying, Paul, I've dealt with you in the past when I was in pain, and once NAW returns, I might, deal with you again and stuff. So I've told Tass, calm down. We're not violent here in Powerhouse. We're nice, friendly people. Well, if I ask you to be violent and stuff, I just have to get the money. I'll just get the money out. I'll do you a quick transfer on the phone.
No,
a couple of $100.
I do free of charge.
Free. Oh, that's all right. Cool. That saves me money. Anyway, brother, there was a story you wanted to tell from an anonymous fan talking about this afternoon. Was that right?
Oh, that was the the
With Mad Dog or something?
No, it's not about Mad Dog. Mad Dog is innocent. A fan asked to tell a fan story.
A fan story. All right, sorry.
Yeah,
I got my
sometimes
wires
I
crossed.
tell these fan stories, and it's becoming quite popular among the followers. And I remember one time after the match, we were heading out, bro, through the corridor there, and I'm still got the baby oil on, and we're heading out, and this woman comes out of nowhere.
Oh, no.
And she's so seductive. Yeah. She's like,
oh, no.
"Oh, War Machine, I am Mad Dog's cousin." And I go, "Ooh, Mad Dog's cousin." I said, "All right, nice to meet you. I better get going." And she's like, "No, give me your arm." So I raised the right bicep, and I said, "Why? What's up?" And she goes, and she licks a bicep, brother. And I'm like, "Ooh, yeah." She licks a bicep, and she goes, "I'm Mad Dog's cousin." And I'm like, "Ooh, all right. I've got to go now." And she's like, "No, don't go. I'm Mad Dog's cousin." And anyway, Aaron and Jake are there, Lozen and Jake. And I thought Lozen, being my woman, she was going to leap into action like a coiled spring, get off my man. But I look over at her, and she's cringing, man. She's like, ew, like, yeah, it was like this. I don't know whether it was the texture of her tongue or whatever, but nobody saved me at all. It was like, "Don't go anywhere. I'm Mad Dog's cousin." Brother, it was one of these moments that I was like, wow, this because she felt like being Mad Dog's cousin gave her a little extra privilege, just keep still.
Power.
I'm Mad Dog's cousin.
Oh, what about? Oh no, it's like gold dust.
Yeah.
Well, what about
all
the
right?
time?
Next segment.
What about the time the female wanted to get a photo of your butt?
Yeah. But it's a nice butt, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people say, "Why did she want that, dude?" And I'm like, well, obviously, she found it
irresistible.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know about that, but she seemed to
We've gone from a G rating to an R rating in the space of 8 minutes.
We are good, bro. It's just we are Powerhouse and we are ready.
That's right. Well, I've already forewarned Manson and Tass to keep the language down because there will be penalties to endure. If the language
censor my swearing again. I already put the language the warning up.
Oh no!
I know you don't recognise that, but
anyway,
that one has correct spelling.
Are you ready to bring in the guests tonight?
I'm ready. Let's bring them in? On. Yeah.
All right. So everyone out there, I'd like to welcome to the stream Mike Manson.
How you going, guys?
Tass Alexander. Hey!
Mike Manson.
I say, after hearing those stories, I'm almost regretting coming on the show.
You do have the best fans. War Machine, you do have the best fans.
No, we all have them.
How you going, Paul?
I'm good, Mike. Thank you for coming on the show tonight, taking some time out of your busy schedule.
I'd like to thank Powerhouse. Thank you, Powerhouse, for putting us on. Thank you.
No, we're honoured to have you, Mike and Tass.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys
Hall
again.
of Famer right here.
Yep. Thanks to all the people. We've got people in the chat room, and I'll be looking at those and putting some up as well.
Yeah.
Look, see, brother. Look, Mel Conway's. Look, she just at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Mel.
Look at this from your sister. That butt kiss.
Oh,
look how one of Tass's friends is here as well. Virginia.
Big.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for joining us at home.
Leanne. We got
Doing good?
So,
Special
Paulie,
shout
where do you
out-
want to kick it off with these boys? Because we're
Hang on.
talking
Just-
some serious careers here, brother.
just before we get started, guys. We've got a special shout out to my trainer, Ben Gross, who's had a major hip surgery again and stuff,
Okay.
and he's recuperating. So
he
Ben,
gets
from all
well.
of us at NAW, get well. We want you to come down to
Awesome,
the
man.
show.
We'll get him
Come
in the
down to
ring,
show, Ben.
stretch him out a bit. He'll be right after that.
That's it.
A couple of hip tosses. That'll fix
That's
it.
Yeah.
That'll fix him.
Ben's a great
Big body
supporter of
slams and
NAW and Powerhouse. So anyway, brother,
Mm-hmm.
you can go first if you want to ask a question to the boys.
Well, where do
I've
we
dropped him
start
in
this one with so much?
Well,
Uh,
I just want to say before we start, we're
Yeah.
currently streaming, not steaming at the moment, are we? Although I will say we'll probably be steaming by the time this is all said and done. So, but anyways,
Look at that.
the reason I hang around with people that don't speak English is they can't correct my spelling. You see? It's the easiest way to get around it. All right, so where should we tip this off?
it's actually fun.
Mike, you were where did you start out? You were a professional fighter in the past, correct? Would you
Yeah.
like to elaborate?
I started around about 8 years of age fighting for Kyokushin and went all the way through the ranks and made it up to the point I started K1 kickboxing and went through K1 kickboxing through Australia. Never got out of Australia, injury prone a lot. Took a bit of time off, done a whole heap of other martial arts in between. Luckily got married to a wonderful lady. And then always wanted to be a wrestler. And the first time I saw wrestling was 1984. So I was hooked on it from then. Used to wag school to read Wrestling Illustrated, tape trade, everything else. And I went looking for someone to train me as a wrestler. And it wasn't easy to get into. I think PCW was the only open school, and that was Dandenong. So I ended up tracking down a guy named Papa Joe, which ended up being Dom Ferrari, Candyman's father. And he sent me to George. And that's how I got into wrestling. And that would have been 2001, mid-2001, I think, or early 2001, maybe just after my daughter was born. So, yeah, I had a fairly good fight career beforehand. Lost the passion for it to continue on, and always loved wrestling. So I got into it and haven't really looked back. It's been something that I love. I always come in and out of all the time, pro wrestling, and it's probably the one thing that makes me truly happy. So, yeah, that's
awesome. Really good. And yourself, Tass? Where did you kick off?
I was a fan of wrestling, like on and off during my college days because my parents wanted me to focus on my studies. And after I graduated, I looked into wrestling a bit more seriously. And there was a few things that got me into local wrestling. There was one, Carlo Cannon in my high school was my college captain. And he announced in one of the assemblies that he was going to train over at Lance Storms in Canada. So that was
Wow.
one introduction. The second introduction I got to wrestling, me and my folks were just shifting through the channels, and we got to Channel 10, and Neighbours was on. And it was on one of the times when they had the storyline. I think it was Toady was supposed to get into, was apparently getting into wrestling. And you had like Candyman, you had Mr. Damage, Ox, Jungle Cat, and that was more of my introduction to local wrestling. And the third one, this is my first time, so I'm not getting used to this
Take your
sort of
time,
thing.
bro. Yeah, nice. Have fun.
My third main introduction to wrestling, there was a documentary on SBS called Big Men, Bigger Dreams, and the main people featured on it were Ox, Mr. Damage, and Bully the Brawler. And I think George was on it too, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
how I got into wrestling, I was looking through a couple of websites, seeing if there was a training school locally. And the one that I managed to get a hold of was PCW, and they were up in Clayton at the time. Because when I got there, it was in this little shed, and I found out later that they were filming for the film from Parts Unknown. which I actually
okay.
got the honor of getting an extra part in for catch-up shots years later. So that was kind of my introduction into acting as well. So,
Holy shit.
but yeah, I was there for PCW for a couple of months, and then they went on a bit of a break. So I had nowhere to go to, and I was helping out at one of the Wrestle Rock events, and Cletus and Mike Burr happened to be there, and they forwarded me to Mike Manson and Alpha Pro Wrestling School, and everything just kicked off from there.
That's why it's so special that to have you guys on together, because Mike's your trainer. So that's surreal. It's cool. And what'd you do, Mike? Did you go up to the young Tass? Did you say, so you want to be a wrestler?
I think I said that
how
to
it
most
went down?
I think I said that to most people. Most people I said that to. I said, so you want to be a wrestler, do you? Now bump for 40 minutes to see how you get up afterwards. And I was hard on most of the guys, and you have to be hard because if you want to be in this business, you've got to be hard. You know, Kane and Tass understand that. Paul understands that. You know, it's a hard business. It's not easy. You know, people think, I hear the words, people say, oh, it's fake, this and that. It's not. You know, throw yourself around the ring for like, 25 minutes and see how you feel, So I trained all the boys pretty hard. Tass was always a great student, always listened. But I'd like to say that if there was no George Julio, there'd be no me, no Tass, no PCW, no nothing.
me.
So the godfather is George, and I think we need to remember that if I train Tass, really George trained Tass because he trained.
Yeah, exactly. Because most of the stuff that you were teaching me, Mike, that was all the stuff you learned from George.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So but I enjoyed the upgrade.
I may add, Mike, you always bring your obviously learn a lot from George, but you also had that move set, that fighting background which helped you with a lot of the jiu-jitsu and that style of wrestling too. You showed me some holds that were just mind-blowing. I think I tapped out to a few of them.
There was a few guys over the years I tapped out that got a little bit big for their boots and they decided to tap a few of them out for real, but within that I had my own style. I was back when I started off, I liked the Japanese style, so it's a very hard physical style, and I incorporated the martial arts, especially the kicks and the punches and that, into the wrestling. And when I go back to teaching at George's again, which will be hopefully once this whole COVID thing's going, I'll be there 3 days a week teaching. I'll be wanting to show the guys how to kick and punch properly before you teach them how to kick and punch safely, because that way it gets the authenticity. It makes it authentic and looking real. So yeah, but I enjoyed my time there. So
how much when you first started out, Mike, pro wrestling, how much mat work did you do with guys like George?
George was a beast. I mean, I kid you not. He would take you in the ring and beat the snot out of you for 40 minutes. He put the clock on, right? That used to be on the wall of the shed, and go for 40 minutes. And George is 20 years older than me minimum, and he would beat the snot out of me for 40 minutes. That would be not unrealistic. The guy was an absolute beast when I first met him. He was the fittest dude and the meanest dude I'd ever met. And your first 6 or 7 lessons with this guy, he would beat the snot out of you. I remember the first day he told me to show up was about 42 degrees, right? Right, it was hot as hell in that shed, right? And he goes, do you know how to do forward rolls and that? And I said, yeah, because I had jiu-jitsu background. He goes, oh, roll, to the point I rolled and threw up outside. Well, that's how much he dumped me in, right? Then he goes to me, hey, man, you all right? I said, yeah, get back in the ring and roll, and bang straight back in again. And the first 6 or 7 lessons, I thought this guy hated me. I thought he was beating me. And then once you got past that point, he'd start to show you stuff. And but the 40-minute thing was quite. If you got there by yourself, 40 minutes to wrestle with George, and he would just cream you for 40 minutes. The guy was an absolute beast, and I kid you not. Anyone that trained with him at that point, 2000s, 99, 2000, 2001, they'll tell you he was an absolute weapon to train with, and a machine. It could go like he'd wrestle 40 minutes with me and then grab the next guy and wrestle 40 minutes with him. That's all fact.
Wow.
Do you think a lot's changed now in the way guys are being taught in pro wrestling from how you first started out, and also Tass, you as well?
Sort of. Like, the industry keeps evolving, so you got to adapt with the style at the time. And even no matter who we are, we keep learning as we go along. So I reckon we still keep the fundamentals the same, but the styles keep on changing.
Yeah, that's right. Fundamentals are always the same. I mean, lock up, arm drags, hip toss, takedown, single, double leg, suplexes. That's all pretty much the same. You really teach that ground base to a rookie from the beginning, and then after that, after you've taught him how to run the ropes, drop downs, the fundamentals of wrestling, then they start to develop their own style. They'll start looking at adding to the foundation. It's almost like building a pizza. You put down the base, and then everyone else builds their own thing on it. So that's how the business has evolved a lot. It's changed a lot. It's for the good or for the bad, whichever way you look at it. But yeah, definitely the athletes now are more athletic now than back in my time too. Like, well, when I started out, the guys were athletic. They were becoming athletic. But now the kids today are just doing stuff that the guys back when I started are going, wow, what the hell was that? It's just become like that. So, yeah, I think the kids are more athletic now, but they're not as ground-based, and they don't tell a story and don't use as much psychology. That would be my opinion when I watch matches.
Yeah, exactly. You think
there's not a lot of characters in wrestling at the moment? No. And really, fans are looking for a bit of everything. They like the high-flying, they like the hard-hitting matches, but they also like the characters, the comedy, the theatrics. They really like a bit of everything, and that's really what you want for a really good show.
Well, this is true.
Totally agree.
Yeah, exactly. The psychology is missed too. I think there's a lot of psychology in matches now that, simply working a leg. You'll see one guy who'll start working a leg, and then all of a sudden, the guy's running around like nothing ever happened to the leg. The psychology is lost, I think, now a little bit. So it's something that definitely George and I want to bring back, is more psychology in how we train the guys, and and how to work the fans too. I think a little bit of that misses too. I think that's the great man there, the hit man.
That was Johnny's comeback.
I think when it comes down to the psychology side of things, and also to the fans, I think now young guys aren't reading the fans when they're doing a match. They're force feeding the fans what they want them to have. And I think that's why sometimes you get dead air in the audience. Sometimes when I'm sitting in the audience watching a show, it's dead air. People are just sitting around looking, well, what's going on here? If they're not getting it, change it up. Give them what they want. Don't force feed them once you've decided what they want. And I think that would be, one of my suggestions to a few of the young guys out there. But the talent, their ability, their athleticism is amazing today. It blows me away. It just really does blow me away. I see what some of the things these kids can do.
And another big thing is get the audience involved. Get them invested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Exactly. You just have to run a quite an easy storyline, especially for our fans at NAW. And I've said this in the past. I've said this for many years. You don't want to overcomplicate the storyline where the only people who understand what's going on is the people in the locker room. You've got to make sure the people out there in the audience know exactly what's going on. And you don't want to make it too hard. They want to go. They come there on a Saturday night. They want to have a good show. They want to see some great actions and an easy type of storyline. You don't want to make it overcomplicated because they don't understand, especially the young kids there. They really don't understand what's going on. And if you've got a guy in the ring doing a 10-minute mic spot, you just kill the whole atmosphere of the show. Now, you two have worked in the past together. Here's a picture from out of the paper.
Nice. That made the front page too. Like, there was two different newspapers. One of them made the front page.
Excellent.
I think that's the same
great
one.
photo.
There. It's because of you, Tass, not because of me. I'll tell you that much. My ugly head on there, they should put it on the back page.
That really paid off. That show was just amazing from start to finish.
Now, I've
Which
got some
show
photo-
was that? The last?
Alpha, Alpha All or Nothing.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, now I can see it.
Yeah, that
Look at
was
that.
great.
Look at Mike there. He's angry.
Yeah, man. That
Look
is
at
one
Tass and that one
grizzled
as well.
prick.
Yeah, bro.
Man,
That's me without
Yeah.
coffee in the morning.
you see that fist, Paulie? I felt
Hey?
that fist. You see that fist in that picture? I felt Manson's fist knock me from one side of the venue to the other, mate. And
Now-
I don't think I awoke until I was backstage. That's how.
Two- 2006, 2007, we had some awesome matches, you and I, War Machine.
Yeah.
Some barn burners. The night that we bent the ring, remember when we bent the ring?
Yes.
Ah, there was
The power bomb.
He power bombed me from
Yeah.
hell. And I thought I couldn't work out why I couldn't walk properly afterwards. And we actually bent a chunk of the ring underneath George's ring. He hit me that hard, you know. I've gone, my
Yeah.
God. I couldn't breathe for about 30 seconds, and I thought, oh, I'm going to die here, you know. So
Yeah.
but we had some great matches. We had some, and in my time of wrestling, some of my most enjoyable matches were done with you. I really enjoyed working with you.
Likewise.
When you first come on the scene, it was amazing. They were amazing matches, and you've always been an amazing guy to work with. So, you know, thank you.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Now,
Now-
I was always honoured to wrestle you, Mike, because I tell you something, Paul, he put a lot of work into me, and you know, in those matches, holy shit, the emotion that flowed through the audience, Paul. I'm telling you, my fans were crying, man, and I kid you not, and I'm not making fun of that either. That's how genuine it was. They were crying and holding my hand, and Mike's, "Let go of him, you son of a bitch!" Bang, 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 just flattening the side of my skull in against the barricade, you know, and the fans are screaming. Oh, mate, I used to go home black and blue. Mike Manson is one tough son of a bitch. Oh, man.
I
Holy
agree.
shit. Far out. You knew it when you wrestled Manson, Paul. You knew it because, mate, you try to get up in the morning and you'd just be like, wow, I'm hammered, you know. It was really good, really strong matches, really heated, really serious stuff. Really good.
Well, that's why I'm a manager, and I've run up a lot of Ks around that ring, because when Mike Manson's there, you know, you just bolt. I'm not staying there to cop
It's a
anything
smart
off
decision.
him.
Because,
Yeah,
mate,
yeah.
that guy will hit you
gotta
3
take
times
off.
before you hit
Sometimes
the
you gotta-
ground.
You know, I know you look around sometimes and I'm not there. I might be at the bar getting a drink or something, but I'm pretty smart. I'm not going to hang around there to let Manson.
Well,
Well,
you
Tass
saw
has
when...
belted me in the past and stuff, and so, you know.
Yeah,
I
well,
think I still got a bit of concussion.
well, we're going to talk a
I can't
little bit
remember
about,
the name
you
of the
know,
best of days.
we're going to talk a bit about, you know, some of the recent stuff. But let's go back to
Let's put up a picture.
So
Let's put up a picture, Mike. His one's probably going to be embarrassing for you. And as you know, here on Powerhouse Live, if I can find an embarrassing photo of anyone, I'll find it. So here's a good one of Mike.
oh wow,
You know, when I come back from after being out of the business for a little while, this young man comes to me and goes, "I got a photo with you back at so and so," and I've gone, "Really?" And he pulled it out of his wallet, out of his phone. He's gone, "Here I am." I've gone, "Wow." Yeah, we know that's Corey, and he's a great wrestler. And I was quite amazed that this kid actually thought that I was any good. But yeah, it was amazing. So it blew me away.
bloody
Gobsmacked.
typical Manson.
Mike has crippled people more than Paul.
When there's no one for Mike to beat up, he'll beat up himself.
That's it.
It's
Got to be done.
Let's find another photo. We'll go to one of let's find one of Tass. Look, here's Tass doing a bit of
here we go.
karaoke.
Ooh,
Bit of karaoke.
Oh, you know when that was?
Oh no!
Kane, you know when that was?
Mm.
That was when we first started competing
Oh, was
against
it
each
really?
other. Yeah, that
the
was
South
the
Pacific.
night. Yeah, that was the show before when I challenged you. And honestly, like, the feud that really made me a main guy in NAW, like I had quite a few really good matches with Jarrett Craven, Chris Law, and Ryan Rollins, who's killing it overseas as Australian Suicide. But what really like kicked off my push as a main like talent in NAW was with you. That's where it really kicked off, and like I'm really thankful for that.
You're most welcome.
It was
great to wrestle you, Tass.
We've had to deal with you in the past, Tass. And does this remind you of anything?
That's not
That's
Tass.
not even me.
What?
No,
Isn't that?
That's not even me.
And the bump.
Really?
Jesus Christ, it's all on the ass, the bump.
Yeah,
I don't mean to critique whoever that is, but that's...
I don't even know who. I thought it was Tass. It looks like his blue ring gear.
I forget his name.
That's embarrassing. Actually, that's
what's his name?
He does the Japanese.
He's like
Taekwondo Terry.
Yeah, it's Terry.
Taekwondo Terry, is it?
Terry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cyclone Terry.
Yeah. Taekwondo. No, I appreciate that, Tass.
He must have borrowed your gear that night, Tass, I'm sure. Anyway.
No, my gear doesn't look like that.
Anyway, look, we'll go to it. I know this is you because we dealt with you this night. Have a look at that.
Yes. That was the first match we had. I think you won that one.
Yeah.
I think it was the South Pacific Championship at the anniversary show, I think it was. And then we had a title versus Korea, and George was the referee, which that was an experience.
George is a straight down the line ref, isn't he, Mike?
He is 100% straight down the line, and then it goes around the corner and back down the line again. You know the guy.
You know the guy.
You know the guy.
Mike, talk about that was legal.
Mike, wasn't there a idea that you had where it was like filming a segment of George reminiscing about past memories of wrestling? And where you have near a fireplace and you have like him in a smoky jacket and a pipe or something?
Yeah, I did. I had this like that for him back in my day, you know.
Yeah.
The guy, Shay Jula, like this. And I did have it written out, you know. It was just one of those things when I was creative at Alpha and that, I just wrote out a whole heap of stuff, you know. I think I still got folders of stuff around here, lying around of stuff that I wrote. So, but it was, even when I wasn't with George, I was thinking about working with George. So, yeah.
Tass would have killed me because he knew when I asked him for this photo.
No, I was wrong with that. I remember when we started that story arc when I was supposed to be the referee, you got so pissed at me when I was like, no, I haven't made up my mind yet. And I remember contacting you. I was like, wait, calm down. It's just it's part of it.
Yeah, man, you screwed me over straight away when you were ref, Tass. Oh,
now,
boy.
Did I ref any matches?
No. You refed. I think you refed the Gore and Magic Man.
Gore and
match.
Mate Wild, yeah. And the first time I was like,
yeah.
Now, was that the one he got knocked out on? The Gore one? Was that the Gore?
No, that was before.
That was before.
You got knocked out
cold. Yeah, he got knocked out cold, the Magic Man. Oh, yeah. I had to run in the ring and give him first aid. He was out. He landed awkwardly on the power bomb, and that was it. He was out. You know, so I thought that might have been that match. So,
yeah.
No, everything was cool from there.
Now, Mike, you've been a trainer of many people in NAW and stuff. Now, I want you to explain this photo and actually what's going on.
The Mega Cell. It's the Mega Cell. He's gone through another dimension and he's pulling his way through the sides. No, actually, it's a great comical cell. He done a really good job with it. So it's
he's happy with himself. Look at that.
Definitely deserves all that.
But Mike, would you want to be on the end of this?
No, definitely not. You don't get it right. That's one hell of a thigh hitting you in the head if he makes a mistake. But no, look, Kane's really safe. So if he said to me, I'm going to do that, I'd say, yeah, no problems. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Kane, no problems.
Now, Tass, I've actually found you a new manager as well, and I know you are.
Oh, really?
You work the kebab van and everything in your spare time. As we see, it's good. A bit of
I
personal
wish.
safety there, which is really good. And thanks to George Yuri for supplying that photo as well. Thank you, Yuri.
Okay, thanks, George.
I've got you a new manager, and here he is.
Oh, Jesus.
Who is it? I can't see it.
That's Pete the Chef.
Oh,
Didn't you see
cool.
the episode with him on it?
Yeah, I saw
Pizza
that one. I saw bits
available.
and pieces of. I have to go back and take a look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see clips of it.
Pete's always available, but we don't know about that foreign object he's holding in his hand. We'll have to put that through to the NAW Extreme Board of Directors to see if we can see if that's legal.
Tass, do you know
Good
how
stuff.
to mute Paul's mic? I don't know how to use it. Hey, Manson.
You're funny. You're really funny.
Manson.
You owe me
now,
royalties as well.
Paul, shush. We have guests. Okay. Now, Manson, you've trained many people. Your list of trainees is from like Big Huss, Josh Shooter, me. You've put work into so many guys. What's been like? Has there been? How does it feel like when you're seeing all these guys like kicking ass? Like, what's been a moment when you've sort of said? Has there been a moment when you've said like, I'm just so proud of one individual wrestler, or is it a large percentage of that, or is there's someone like it just stood out to you as a trainee, or what?
Look, I'm proud of every guy that I've trained because to set foot in the ring and take your first bump, you already got to be proud of that person. And for them to get up enough balls to get in the ring and wrestle in front of people and open themselves up, they've got balls. They've got my respect once they've done that. Guys that I saw that were going to be naturally great, obviously Huss, right? I got a phone call from a guy. He goes to me, "Hey, man, you a wrestling coach?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "How long will it take before I'll start to wrestle?" I said, "How long's a bit of string?" On the phone to this guy. He goes, "I want to come down and train." I said, "Yeah, here's the address. Come on down." So I'm leaning up against the ring this night, and I'm yelling at everyone in the ring, which is a common thing that I used to do. Tass will tell you. I'd be yelling, being taught from George, you got to yell at everyone and make sure you got the authority. And all of a sudden, the doorway goes dark. And I've gone, oh, shit, someone closed the door. I turned around, and all I see is this figure there with just this little gaping where his waist is. He goes, "Hey, bro, I rang up about learning how to wrestle." So, obviously, the first thing I saw in my mind from this guy was, oh, my God, physically, he's perfect. All right, so get in the ring and bump, mate. I gave him no respect. So get in the ring, bump, this and that, and made him work. And then after he comes up to me, he goes, "So what do you think, bro?" And I've gone, "Well, for $2 and potential, I can get a cup of coffee, mate." I didn't give him the confidence from moment one that you're going to be great. Potentially had tons of potential. It just didn't happen,
Yeah.
But every guy I'm proud of, from Ashton Reed, all the Andy Rhodes, Tass himself, Shooter, all of them. The guys out of NAW, working with Bell, working with yourself, being George's trainer, because George used to sit outside of the ring and I would do the inside of the ring stuff. Having that opportunity to learn how to teach people from George like that was amazing, and I would never have been able to teach people without George teaching me that. And the opportunity to work with all these guys was amazing. So I don't have a favourite. I do have one guy where I said, "Oh my God, this guy looks like he's just stepped out of WWE." And he was an absolute athlete too, Huss. He was an ex-member of the North Melbourne Football Club and never quite cut it there. He was a ruckman, he was a legit athlete, So, but no, I'm proud of everyone that's had enough enough guts to get in there and have a go. And no matter whether you want to class them good, bad, or indifferent, you know, I respect them all, and I'm honoured to have had the chance to work with them all.
Excellent.
That's excellent. Mike, let me put up a picture of one of our favourites here on Powerhouse Live. He was a great friend to all of us. And some thoughts about this, about James.
James was always a good person to talk to, and I never got to wrestle him until towards the end, which is a really, really sad thing. It was that run where I come back with George and Tass and him, and I got to wrestle him. It was the first time I got to wrestle James, and I'd spoken to him many times in the past. We've had hour conversations on the phone about wrestling. He was an absolute lover of wrestling and just generally a top bloke. Just a really, really nice guy. I would give anything to have the opportunity to be able to talk to him again, and to be able to socialize with him again, and to be able to wrestle with him again. I would give whatever I could give to have that to happen. And it was just such a great shock and a great loss of such a wonderful man to leave us so soon. So you got to take life; it's precious. You've got to take whatever you can out of life. He's showing us that. He's showing us that we got to now whatever we've got, we got to take it. It's precious life, and we got to do what we can do with it. And that
Exactly.
James, I've learned that from James. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, legit
What have you
one of
got
the
to add
nicest
on
people
that,
in wrestling.
Taz? Yeah.
Legit one of the nicest people ever in wrestling, and there's very few. And it was
and your matches
always
against him, Tass?
always great to work with him. Like, actually, an interesting story, because in 2011, when he was the heavyweight champion in NAW, he almost quit wrestling, and the reason for that was he felt like he wasn't able to keep up with some of the current people in the locker room at the time. And he had like a lot of talented people. Like, you had Shooter, you had Mickey Jackson, you had Ryan Rollins, you had all these talented people in the company. And then his next match was against me. And we were talking, and he said, I'll just see how I feel after this match with you. And then after that, I'm not giving myself credit for any of this, because he really was one of the best characters at that time and one of the greatest talkers. And he kept going after we had our match. We kept pursuing wrestling after that. So he got some of his confidence back from when I worked with him, and it was always fun. Like, even when I got to team with him, because he spent most of his career as a heel, and then he transitioned over to becoming a babyface, and his popularity just skyrocketed.
Exactly.
And but unfortunately, that was like Mike said, like really later on. And it was a major loss when he passed. Like, I didn't know. I only found out from Morphine. Jesse put something up on his Facebook, and I was like, wait, what? And I was asking around, and I was like, what's happened? And it was like, what?
Yeah, Gisette rang me and told me pretty much as soon as she found out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I was in absolute shock,
And it's really young too.
Yeah, really young.
It's touching on that, Tass, because you were like, so well trained too. Going into that match against Jackson, you would have. See, when you get two really fit guys and you wrestle really sort of little guys and really energetic guys and stuff like that, that's quite common. But when you step in with such a super heavyweight, you got to change your style up, and you got to work differently, and you would have done that because you were taught by Mike and stuff. So James would have thought, well, if this guy can understand how to work with me properly, maybe there's hope for some others. I think that would have been his mindset, because some people don't know how to work with big people. They're used to getting all their their moves in with two little guys that can pull off such amazing moves. But when you get in there with a big man, it's a completely different sort of thing.
Well, that's where it comes down to psychology. You know, as a wrestler, you've got to have psychology. You know, if you're going to wrestle a real big guy, you know, you should show him the respect of being real big and making sure that he's on top. You know, if you're going to get on top, you need to cheat. Basically, that's why I think I was a good heel for so many years, because cheating come very natural to me. Most people would know very natural.
It goes both ways. You got to study your opponent. Like I knew with you, Mike, you weren't going to come off the top ropes and give me hurricanranas and stuff. You were going to punch the shit out of me. So you got to understand a wrestler's style, don't you?
Exactly right.
You know,
you're right.
Yeah.
Do you think? Mike, do you think match planning these days, it's something that's not really a big focus when guys are learning to train as a pro wrestler?
I think it depends on the guy. Myself, I don't like to plan too much of the match, right? I don't like to have anything rehearsed too much, unless it's a dangerous spot. I mean, if we're coming off the top rope, suicide dive, something like that, I want the person to know what's going on, you know. But as the match goes, I like it to free flow as much as possible. So I think some of the problems we have is they're so rehearsed sometimes in our matches. The fans are starting to pick up what you're doing in between. And the other thing is, it doesn't look like a real fight. Anyone that's been in a real fight, you know, doesn't look like that. You know, so, you know, you do make mistakes in a real fight. You do slip over in a real fight. You do miss and hit something in a real fight. So I always try to make the fight look as real as I possibly can. That's my goal. So I want the guy or the girl, whoever's in the front row of the audience or whichever row, they think that this guy's really trying to kill this other guy. You know, when I go past the curtain, I'm not the person that's talking to you right now. I become Mike Manson, and I want to hurt you. You know, there's no, and I want to snap your leg off. I want to really hurt you. You know, so, but I do it in a controlled manner because I'm doing it, you know, as a pro wrestler. But when I used to fight before, I didn't want you to get out that ring. That's why a lot of fights used to be cancelled on me before I fought, right? Because guys go, this guy's freaking crazy. For real, because I didn't want you to leave that ring. When I was going to do, you're going to go. The way you were leaving was on a stretcher. That's it. So I took that over as a wrestler, and I think guys today, it's so rehearsed, and they shove the match down everyone's throat. You have to be unpredictable. I think I saw a training video with he's at AEW, very well known Tass, Kenny Omega.
Yep.
And he even said, right, don't make everything look perfect. It's meant to look like there's mistakes. It's meant to look like a real fight. So I think that's something, once it comes to the psychology of wrestling, is guys need to start saying, you don't need to look too perfect. If you watch Mad Dog, which is a guy that I really, really respect as a wrestler, and a guy that I've been very, very lucky to wrestle, right? I've been very fortunate to have, because he doesn't make everything look perfect. It looks like a fight, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the biggest secrets to Mad Dog, is that he makes it look real, you know, as much as he can. So, you know, I think the young guys that are doing all these 100% flash movements and everything sharp and clean and it looks like out of a movie or a comic book strip, maybe you should make it look a little bit unreal and get the audience believing what's happening. You know, that's just my opinion.
That's a great idea.
And even if you mess up, it doesn't matter. You just keep going.
That's exactly. I taught you guys that. Do not stop. Do not revisit if you're going to do a spot, do not revisit it. You've missed it. You missed it. Keep moving forward. Improvise.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Definitely. So, Tass, your first ever show, what was it like getting ready for that and hitting the curtain? Your very first ever show. That would have been one of Mike's.
That was Pipeworks. That was the first one Alpha did there. And it actually wasn't a match. It was more of a spot. I think I sent Paul a photo of it where it's got me holding up a steel chair. And I think the angle was Santa Claus was in the ring because it was a Christmas show. And it was Barry Lawrence, wasn't it, Mike?
I think so,
Barry Lawrence came out and tried to ruin Christmas for the kids. So, so I just came out with a steel chair, whacked Barry over there with it. And, that just saved Christmas.
You said Christmas.
And then
Nice.
my first physical match was later on that day. It was a Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Which-
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which you had a whole bunch of guys in there: Mike Burr, Steve Valek, Richie Taylor, Zane, Ashton Reed, Huss. You had all the guys that were training in Alpha in that match.
And the mindset to you was like, were you ready? Were you sure that you were ready? Were you like,
As soon as I got out of the curtain, I was like, let's just have fun out there.
awesome?
And yeah, it absolutely was. And everything just kicked off from there.
Your first match, Mike, ever? Do you remember who it was with?
The first match ever was a Rumble, right?
Oh, yeah.
At the indoor soccer stadium in Melton. But my first singles match was in the same building with Rackdog. And I just got new gear, first match.
Wow.
And it broke halfway through the match. So
Oh, no.
I'm holding one of these zippers from the side, holding up. I'm trying to do a match with one hand. It was the shittest match you've ever seen. It was freaking terrible. I'm making poor Rackdog look terrible because I couldn't do half the stuff we spoke about. And yeah, that was my first match. That was my first match, and then thank God after that they got better, and it wasn't Rackdog's fault, it was mine. It was the freaking gear wasn't right, but yeah, that was my first singles match, and that was back in the days of APW, pre-NAW, so that was before NAW was on the map at all, because originally NAW started with George and Kurt von Snyder. It started there, and there was a match. There was a show at the Maltese Club. That was where I won the heavyweight title there on the first night of the first show. And then after when APW folded, because APW belonged to the Sarge, Mario
Dominic Bianco.
That's it. He belonged to him. So when that finished and NAW come along, Candyman become heavyweight champion straight away. He walked out as heavyweight champ, which made sense. You know, you're trying to set the promotion along right. He was the best face, so it made sense to do that. So, and then I think I had a fairly good run with Candyman over that period of time, and done a few, good storylines with him. And then I think I worked my way to you, mate. I think that you're the next one on the list of the guys. So you had this midget in the ring. You two tall guys had this midget in the ring. You had to deal with him. If you wanted to beat me, all you had to do was hold me back with one hand. I wouldn't have been able to reach you with my snumpy little arms. But no, it was, that's right. But that was the progression of it. And
And we had an unpredictable ref.
Oh, Choppy.
Chop, Manson. He could disqualify you within a moment's notice, brother.
Chop, I love him to pieces, and I speak to him to this day. I really do. I do catch up with him. I do talk to him. I talk to his daughter. You never meet a nicer guy. But sometimes, as a wrestler, you want to overcomplicate a match, and you overcomplicate it, and you say this missed pinfall, that missed potato. And Chop was not great with these things. You had to keep it very simple for Chop. You kept it simple, you were right. If you started saying miss fall, this fall, that fall, this fall, I think the night you gave me the tombstone, he pinned me on the power bomb. And I kicked out of the power bomb, and he's still going to 3. I'm yelling at him, no. But you'll never meet a nicer guy. And I honestly, I consider him being a very good friend of mine. And Choppy is Choppy, Rob, and his son Rackdog was the top fella. So
amazing wrestler.
That tag team with him and Sammy Sluggy, that was incredibly over. The Chapel Street Crew.
I come up with that, the Crapple Street Crew. That was one of my ones, and I looked at these two guys, and they weren't really getting over.
No.
Red Bull wasn't getting over at all, and Chris lacked he lacked will.
A bit of sparkle.
He lacked it. He good wrestler, good kid, but he lacked it. He didn't really. He had no place. So I put these two guys together, and I said, "Sell me, make it work. If you make it work for me, I'll make sure you get the belt, but make it work." And they really they exceeded my expectations. They done a great job with the Chapel Street crew. And at that time I was working security on Chapel Street down towards the Windsor end, and you're seeing all these kids looking like them running up and down the street with Jungle Cat. With Jungle Cat, I was working security with Jungle Cat, and and Ox actually booked us, and we're seeing all these kids, and all these two guys are young. They look like them, they act like them, so perfectly. Let's just let them have it in the ring, and it worked really well. So
yeah.
And Fat Pizza was huge at the time, like on SBS, because that would have helped as well.
I stole that from that, mate. Don't you worry about that. I don't invent anything original. I steal everything. I still watch wrestling from the 70s to get ideas. So, So there was a bit of that too involved, and you Swift, and it's good Australian humor. Like if you look at it,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, whether it's Sunnyvale or Fat Pizza or Swift and Shift, either one of them.
Howzos.
Yeah, Howzos. Right, it's all good humor. It's all good Australian humor, and it melds to our multicultural society. Yeah. Well, a multicultural society, it sort of blends to it. And so if you use that, it gets over generally. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I get called Paul Falzoni many times at work by another guy. My friend Shane, who's the other driver of my work, he'll ring me up on the phone. He starts singing Paul Falzoni. All the names I get called.
Also, there's probably my first memory of you and Kane, Mike. It was back in the MySpace days. There was I think NAW had a MySpace page at one point. This is how far back we're going. There was a promo, and I wish that it's still online. It was you, Kane, and George when he was the champion.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you were doing your bit. Kane was doing his bit. George is doing his bit. And when George was speaking, you can hear people cracking up in the background. And George was even cracking up as he's doing the promo. And that was the first time I saw you guys.
The best thing about George is in the locker room before a show, and he goes, "Now, boys, don't swear on the mic."
Yeah.
And then he goes out there, no.
You tell George that? No.
Nobody corrects him. Yes, boss. Whatever you want to do. I don't even attempt to correct him. I say, yeah, boss, whatever.
I've asked George in the past if I can swear on the mic. He goes, do what you want, Paul.
I remember that promo for the Survivor Series.
Go on, brother.
Which one was that?
The promo for the Survivor Series. Me and Mike were ripping into it, and Georgie starts going off, and his false teeth come flying.
I'm going to find that promo and send it to you guys at some point.
I was waiting for Manson's hand to come around his shoulder and just put him back in for it, but it was just it was so awesome. We had some great times.
Yeah, Mike, you worked with Larry Rhino here.
Paul would have been the earliest guy that I ever worked with. Probably after the singles match, I started working with him and Kurt Von Snyder, and learnt a lot from Paul. Learned a lot from Paul on how to work, how psychology. Paul is probably one of the most underrated guys that is out there, because his understanding of psychology, and that he got to train with War Dog. I can't think of his first name. Right, Frank Carpenter. He got the opportunity to work with Frank Carpenter, and Frank Carpenter was a master of psychology, an absolute master of it. And Paul was very much like him in the same mold. So a lot of the stuff I learnt in ring would be Paul whispering in my ear, "Hey, do this, do that, do this." Same with Ox too. Ox was like that as well. He was always the type of guy that would reach in and give you an earful, like, "Hey, do this, mate, do that. This will work like that." And working with Paul was great. He had no ego when you worked with him. There was no, the amount of hardcore matches I did with him in South Australia, And a problem with Paul was fitness. And he'll even admit that. Problem with Paul, he gas after 10, and you've got a crowd main event, you've got to give him 20. For me, every time I go, it doesn't matter whether I'm opening the show or main event, I'm going to give that person that ticket money every time I go out and perform, even if it means I'm going to wreck myself doing it. So Paul would do that, but he used to run out of gas a lot, run out of gas heaps. But that was the only thing with Paul. If Paul was fit, I'll tell you now, he would have been main eventing a lot of cards. That's the truth. Psychology was amazing.
Do you think, Mike, the new guys now can like main event 20 minutes, 25, an hour Broadway maybe?
I'm not sure about hour today. I'm not sure that there's that much in someone's arsenal. I mean, when you work a Broadway, there is a lot of gaps in between where you're filling with working the crowd, working the audience, working with the opponent. There's a lot of psychology involved. To run an hour Broadway, move after move after move, you'd want to be a triathlete, and you'd have to have all those arsenal, or you're going to be just redoing move after move after move. I think it can be done. Whether the audience is patient enough in today's day and age to sit there for an hour, I don't think they are. I think in today's multimedia society, I don't think they're patient enough to sit there to go through a Broadway anymore. Same days of Flair and Steamboat or Brock Winkle and Garnier. I think those days are done as far as the audience. It's too now. I want it now. I want it finished now. I want it done. They complain about 5 rounds in the UFC being too long.
Yeah.
So
I think the longest in NAW it was about half an hour with Broadway. Under half an hour, 45 minutes. Jake Navarro might have been Josh, I think.
Oh, it was an Iron Man match?
It could be. You know what? Sorry, mate. Go on,
Paul.
Mike.
No, you go, Paul.
Speaking about people who remember a lot of things about NAW and being a referee, thoughts on Phil Time Lord Galulis? Bit of a character.
Look, the character's good. As a referee, he was brilliant. Love working with Phil as a ref because he took it 100% real. Like some referees, you get him, Beaumont,
definitely
right. Tony Marino, to a certain point, Tony took it too far and would not see things. Like he wouldn't play that he didn't see something. But Phil would not see things if you made sure you said to him, "Do not see this." Same with Beaumont. Very good great referee. Was there always on the spot where you needed him. Vic Ferrari was just a bloody pisser. I only had one or two options to work with him. But Vic Ferrari, halfway through the match, you'd be getting choked on the ropes or choking somebody on the ropes, and he'd be talking about how big the bird's tits are in the front row. So he was that way. The other referee, I would say that for me had a lot of potential and went a long way was Edwin.
Yes.
Oh, Edwin. Yeah.
Little Edwin. He's a great referee because he's got
Fantastic.
size. He's not big. He makes the wrestlers look big, right? And he's intelligent in the ring. He wanted to be a wrestler at first. He come to Alpha. I think Tass brought him to Alpha.
Yeah.
Did you bring him to Alpha? Was it you? That
Maybe.
And I looked at him. I said, dude, I said, you're a bit small, dude, So he gave him an opportunity. And then I gave him an opportunity to manage, I think, El Poljo, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I put El Poljo over, right, at Pipeworks.
Yeah.
And I hit him one chop, boom, fairly stiff, but not stiff and not as hard as I would hit somebody else, And he's lying in the back, gasping for air. And I said, I don't think wrestling is for you, brother. I said, how about taking up referee? And then he really kicked on. He really kicked on. He's doing a very good job. So yeah, that's my Phil's a good ref. He was a good ref. Yeah, Phil's a great ref, and I think that
Sam Madison's another good one.
Yeah.
Like currently,
but I
Sam
haven't
Madison's another one.
I haven't worked with him, so I don't know.
We'll have to get him back in NAW. Thoughts? This goes to both of you guys. Thoughts on live commentary?
I like it as long as it's relevant to the match and to the show. Sometimes with live commentary, the guys want to get themselves over and not the match over. But if you get two clever guys, like a Pete Farry, right? He can get the match over. He gets the match over and the card over. You know, sometimes we work with guys and they just talk. Gene Gatto had a tendency to talk about his own shit all the time. I like Gino, good bloke. But he had a tendency to talk about, you know, stuff outside the match. But Pete was fantastic for the match stuff. And I'm really happy that he's back in NAW. I think he's going to be a big advantage at NAW having him back and involved on a more regular basis. And I'm pretty happy about that. But I think that's live commentary. I like it, providing it's relevant to the show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. But it can work on some shows, but on other shows where the focus is mainly on the matches, then you don't really need it.
Yeah. Sometimes I think live commentary is good for the undercard, but when it gets to like the semi and the main, you should definitely let the guys in the ring tell the whole story.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe at the end of the match, they can jump in and say what's going on to help forward the storyline a bit more. I think that's a good thing. You just don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to put it straight to air, like straight to tape, you know. Like that. I think it's going straight to tape, and then look, long-term goals for NAW is to have a show regularly on a fortnightly basis, chopping up matches and big matches. Say if we worked a program, say Tass and Kane worked a program, and the main event was going to be a huge blow-off, I wouldn't put that online. I'd want people to drag their asses to the arena to watch it, but all the setup stuff online so you can tell the story. Recording all of that would be an amazing thing, you know. So if all your commentary went straight to tape, it'd be great. Still using your commentary over thing, and I think it would clear the airway and it gives the opportunity. I think color commentary is important to wrestling. I think back from the 40s when they were explaining matches on the radio is where it come from. You know, that's where commentary come from. So I think there's a place for it, without a doubt.
Another thing that live commentary is really being utilized for now is video on demand. Like you see a lot of companies like utilize commentary, but the audience doesn't hear it. But when it goes online, you can hear it clearly. That's one of the things that a lot of people, even here, are focusing on is online shows.
Well, that's what NAW is long term. That's not long term. If we were trading this year, by this time we would have been in that position. We would have been doing the online show.
Yeah,
that was the goal of 2020, was to have an online show. I didn't go out and tell people this and carry on, but I was talking to people about how can we do this. I want to get it done. This was in December 2019. How can we do this? It's an important thing to have for a company to grow. With NAW, I see that we are a training school first, George the Hitman Julio's, and then the promotion comes as a sub off that. But to have our talent, to have an opportunity, the people we teach, to have a decent opportunity to be seen by the rest of the world, we need to provide multimedia, and that's what hurts NAW. It's just multimedia. It's not as strong as other companies. So I really believe, and I still now to this believe, and I sort of proved it a little bit with the Alpha show, that if you stick enough multimedia up there and you hammer the show, right, people are going to watch it. And then they might see, the next guy that might be your next Buddy Murphy potentially. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But if they're not getting seen, if the kids are not getting seen, then how do they grow? And then you develop this great talent. And then they go somewhere else where they're going to get seen. They don't hate you, but they're going to go to somewhere else where they're going to get the opportunity you can't give them. Right? I think as a promotion, we need to give as a school and a promotion, we need to give these kids the opportunity to be seen. And if they go to the States, I'm right with them. Go for it. I want them to go to Japan and the States and stuff. Go for it. It's a feather in our cap if they kick on. So I think that was the plan of 2020, and obviously with COVID, it hasn't really worked. But 2021, definitely, that's super high on the list. to make
Fingers
sure
crossed.
we've got a regular TV show happening. So or online show.
Excellent. I was just reading one of the comments, brother, and someone said, how about asking the fans what matches they'd like to see? So we're tired of seeing the same people wrestle each other.
Yeah,
That was one.
that's another issue. Yeah, absolutely.
That was that's one of the things in the comment section. And someone else is asking you, Tass, did you get a tattoo or something?
Did I get a tattoo? No, I don't think I did.
I was just reading that in the comment section.
Yeah, someone
sorry.
said Tass got a tattoo. I'm like, oh, that's
Whereabouts?
No.
No, I don't.
I
that's
think
just
going back to what the matches the fans want. I think it's great the fans drop down their ideas on the Facebook page and be interactive with us. Whether all these matches will happen, well, who knows?
Yeah.
But
it's great.
If it's ideas and it's content that we could definitely be using. And at the end of the day, without the fans, there's no show. We don't have a show. So we need to be mindful that, once again, we're not force feeding the fans what they want. You know, what we want to give them, that we're giving them what they want. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we are an entertainment medium. No matter what fight sport you do, it's entertainment. You know, you could be UFC, Conor McGregor's over, not because he's the best fighter. He's the best. He's the best talent at that point in time, not because he's a fighter.
Best entertainer.
You know? It's a best entertainer, exactly, Tuss. So we need to be able to provide our customers what they want. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but I can't promise everyone's going to get what they want. I can't say to every fan out there, hey, you're going to get what you want, but we will definitely look at it and definitely look at and make ideas from it. So, I think I'll welcome it. I think it's a good idea.
Now, Mike, just going back into your career, you went over to Japan for a tour?
Yeah, I did. I was lucky enough to go. Very lucky.
You went over there with Beaumont and some of the boys. I think I got a picture of you and some of the boys here back in the day, if you can see that. Yeah.
That's us there. I was behind Beaumont there, hiding, because I never like having my photo taken. So, and unless it's a wrestling promo or something like that, I don't mind it. But that was at Mr. Damage. Was it the main restaurant? It might have been the main restaurant, not the sub one in Asakusa. That might have been the one that was on the other side in Japan.
Okay.
Look, that tour was great. I had a great opportunity to go. I was lucky that Beaumont was there, that we got work, and I was lucky that Pondo put in a good word for me too. With the promoters, said I was a good hand. I learned. I realized when I started to wrestle and I started getting into it, I realized that probably the peak that I would ever hit would be Japan. I understood, being 5'9", my age, everything else, there was no way in America that I was ever going to get really over, But I thought if I could get over in Japan, then that's as high as I could go. I know that I kicked the bucket list. I kicked the bucket on the bucket list. It's good,
Yeah.
So when I went across there, we got off the plane and there was no matches. Beaumont was here. There wasn't even a match freaking organised. It all fell through. And somehow he worked a match with the promotion. I want to say it's Battlesphere, but I don't know if it was, or a conglomerate of a few promotions in one. And it was like an 8-man tag? No, 12-man tag, something like that. It was everybody pretty much on each side. And I think one of the Japanese promoters said, we'll pay all these idiots $5 because they're not worth anything more than that. And that got back to the rest of us. And we said, all right, mate, okay. And we put on this finish between it was us. It was two Australian teams. So it must have been about 5 on each or something like that. And we put on this match, suicide dive after suicide dive, friggin' well, just some ridiculous. I think the pin was, I got pinned, I Germaned somebody else bridged, and I think Mad Dog Hurricane Run at the person I was Germaning or something along those lines. So it was some really crazy freaking finish, and they were blown away, the Japanese. And after that, we got offers. We got offers like And then the other one that was interesting was Big Japan. Went down to Big Japan, and we weren't even booked. And we go there, and I don't know what, I don't think Daniel must have said something to him. I don't really know the full story how we got on the card, but all of a sudden it was a tag. And we caught like 2 trains and something to get there. You know, I don't know where I was in Japan. It could have been anywhere. And they've gone, done the match. They've gone, oh, very good. Get on the bus. Pondo's there. Get on the bus. I go, what? I got 1 pair of underpants. That's it. Right? Get on the bus. I've got to get on the bus. We get on the bus. I think we've done 2 days or 3 days or something on in the bus, and they dropped, mate, 1 pair of underpants don't last that long, dude. It's not great. You're washing them every day, wearing them wet. It sucked. And poor old 69er too. I said to Matt, I'll be gone for half a day. We were sharing a hotel room together. I'm gone for 2 or 3. So he's thinking I'm dead. So when I got back, he gave me the biggest tongue lashing you'd never. You thought you were dead? This and that. No, I'm not. I was got abducted by Big Japan. That's all, you know. So it was a funny time over there. I had to leave a week early, and to this day, I sort of regret it. Family problems over here, so I had to come back early. But it was a fun time. Yep.
Daniel was saying it was an 8-man tag.
8-man tag. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun indeed. We had a good time in that, and I did an adequate job when I was over there, and I sort of proved to myself that I was good enough. Then when I got back to Australia, I sort of realised that with the family and with the kids and everything else, I wasn't going to go any further. So that's why I bought into NAW. That's when I financially bought into NAW and said I had no decisions of going back to Japan. I was just going to stay here in Australia. But a really good bunch of guys, you know, like with the PWA shirts. That was just going on to that, because a lot of those guys that were in that picture were PWA guys. You know, Cletus there had the PWA T-shirt and Mad Dog and that. I love working for NAW. NAW will always be my home, but creatively, probably PWA was one of the best places I've ever worked at. Because you're in a locker room with a room full of sharks that wanted to outdo everybody else. There was none of this, your opener and the main event, so you can't do this for the main event or anything else. It was like every match we're going to kill each other on. And the matches would slowly steady up to the point that, you know, it was a great learning environment, because you were like I said, you were literally in there with a whole heap of sharks. Everybody wanted to outdo everybody else. And I don't know if that Henry had that deliberately planned it like that, or whether it was just the culture of the guys that come across from PCW. But it was a great learning environment. You learned to push yourself. A lot of the dives and stuff that I started doing later on come from working there. It was like you'd be working with Spike Steele and go, you're going to do this, you're going to do it now. What? Do it now. And all of a sudden you're diving, you know. And we was really chicken shit on that whole diving stuff, you know. So
it was a lot more strong style. They really brought it up to a bit more of a strong style, trying to get away from that WWE type entertainment. They really wanted to put a bit more of the real pro wrestling aspect into it, which really surprised a lot of people and opened up a lot of people's eyes, especially guys interstate, and they all wanted to come and work for PWA and for Lobo and the boys, which was fantastic. But Mike, one of your famous matches is at the Rock and Roll Wrestling with Pondo and Mad Dog. You can see the flyer there. One of the a fantastic night that Dusty and Cognac Avides put on, and I was lucky enough to call that match as well, because we had a bit of live commentary.
It was a good night.
Yeah,
what I remember of it, you know, in all honesty, the trash can to the head concussed me pretty bad, and there's a lot of that match I was on autopilot. But firstly, the match was great because of the 2 people I was working with.
Oh, definitely.
Working with Mad Dog, working with Pondo, you know, 2 professionals in this field, especially with hardcore matches, especially. And really, as soon as I got there, I just said, "Yeah, boys, what do you want me to do?" I didn't even put an input. I said, "What do you want me to do, guys?" And I'm here for it. And you know, I mean, I was lucky to get the match, because it could have been probably 10 other people that could have done that match with those two guys. But I think Mad Dog put in a good word for me. He said, I've worked with this guy at PWA and give him a go. And Pondo said, we'll give him a go. And that's how it happened. And cut myself a little bit deep. Paul will tell you that night.
Ooh.
And I lost a bit of blood.
Brother.
Yeah, bro.
So, Mike was working the three-man, the three-way dance. And Tass, you'd know about this. They're working in the Neighbours ring. The ring that they used on Neighbours, Papa Joe.
Oh, was that the one? Okay.
A small ring, and it was tiny. It was a tiny ring. You'd only probably 3 or 4 steps in the ring to run the ropes and everything. So it was tiny, brother. There's no way you'd do 2 steps and you'd have to turn to run the ropes. And I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So Mike worked in that ring a couple of times, and he actually had a great match against Matt 69. And I was talking to Mike about this the other night. And Matt really had, the crowd in his hands, and they were really, cheering him on. And Mike you were a great heel, Mike, that night working with Matt. But he worked the 3-way dance with Pondo and Mad Dog. And Mike went to got the trash can to the head and everything, and he went down on the outside, and he sticks his head up, and he said to me, he goes, "Oh, am I bleeding?" And I go, "Oh, not much." So I think he got belted again, and he goes back down, and then he gets back up, and he just had a whole face full of blood, and it was, oh my! He looked at me, and I just went, "I think that's working for you, brother." and I remember. And boy, he was like bleeding profusely and stuff. I just wow and stuff. And I said to Mike the other night, he didn't remember this. We always, at the Greyhound Hotel, we always had 1 or 2 drinks before the show just to settle the nerves. Especially me, I had to settle the nerves. I always had so much nerves before going out there in front of the crowd and everything. I remember going up to Mike in the dressing room, going, "Come on, Mike, this is the big match. You have to get into it, mate. It's a big match. And we got Pondo here. We got Dusty's excited. The whole crowd's excited." And Mike's looking at me, and I'm thinking, Mike's going to tell me to fuck off any second. Get out. So here's me, I'm out. Dusty's there with the run sheet, and he goes, "Now, Paul, this is whatever. Make sure the music gets played at this time, blah 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 blah," and stuff. Oh my God. Oh, fuck. The match was absolutely sensational. Mike gets concussed, can't remember anything. He's bleeding profusely. I've got a photo. Have a look at this photo.
Wow.
Have a look at that. Fantastic. It was an awesome night. Dusty put on one of the best shows of all time. Pondo loved it. We all loved it. It was a great night. We had me and Matt 69 took Mike to the Alfred Hospital to get stitched up because he wouldn't stop bleeding and stuff. I don't know. It was from I think we pumped a couple of beers into you after the match. I think that was a good idea. But anyway,
I survived. It's all good. I'm alive.
Yeah, it was just great, and you can just tell by that. Have a look at that photo.
Of course,
the 4 of them are just into it. They just live and breathe pro wrestling and stuff. And Pondo was fantastic, and Dusty really went out on a limb bringing him out here to Australia and working here in Melbourne. We couldn't thank him enough for doing that, because a lot of people actually learned from him. Like Pondo was so friendly, and you could ask him any questions, and a lot of guys learned a lot, especially like guys like Crackerjack and Mad Dog and yourself and me.
Yeah, he was very approachable, even in Japan. Very approachable, very open. But we would tell you, was never arrogant. And this was a guy that at that point in time was top of his game, one of the top guys of his game. So, he was a very, very, very nice guy to deal with. And, it didn't have to be about hardcore stuff too. It was about any form of wrestling. He was pretty schooled. He was known as a hardcore guy, but he was pretty schooled in just about all aspects of it. So
I remember he couldn't believe that he had to work at the Dragonfly. He's going, "This is the first time I've ever worked in a Chinese restaurant." And the people at the restaurant, said to us, said to Lobo, we don't want any blood or anything like this. It's a family show. There's kids in the audience. We don't want anything like that. And Pondo's going, well, that's 90% of my style's gone out the window. But him and Crackerjack put on I think it was Crackerjack who worked that first night. I'm pretty sure it was. They put on it was a great match. They still used a couple of the foreign objects like the stop sign and everything. I think Crackerjack might have got a bit of concussion out of that night, but
he used to hit you hard, mate. Like one thing with Pondo, he was never going to be just a light shot. He was going to hit you. You had to protect yourself. So it was, and I think that was the style that he used. You had to protect yourself. In Japan too, most of the guys they sort of work snug anyway. So you got to protect yourself. And I just wore the shot. It was on me. It wasn't on anybody else. I should have put my hands up and protected myself. So, but it was a great opportunity to work with him. It was a great opportunity to get the opportunity to do that. Even said a few nice things about me overseas and on a video over here. So it was nice. It was nice in general. So
It's good.
excellent. Now, Tass, you've worked a couple of like the hardcore matches. So you've won King of the Cage at NAW and stuff.
I'm the only person that's successfully cashed in with the King of the Cage and won the title. I'm the only person that's done that.
Really?
No one else. Like, I think it's been around for like 6 years now. And yeah, I'm the only person that's ever successfully utilized it.
Have you and the War Machine been in a cage match together?
What was that, Kane?
I said, don't let Tass's looks fool you, Paul. He's very structured, very educated. He's very refined. He has a book where he jots everything down. It's all structured.
I still got that, yeah.
This man,
A book?
he will kill you with education if he can. We're talking a very a disciplined man.
cerebral.
He said he cashed in and he won the title. No one else has done that. I wouldn't have done that. I probably cashed in and got smacked out, maybe. But anyway.
If you were smart, you would have stopped and taken a beer.
Sorry, what were we going to say, Paul?
Well, when you did win the King of the Cage, I think this happened.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
locker room. Look at that.
I think one of the hosts took that photo.
Oh man, talk about a face full of blood there.
Wow.
Almost as good as yours,
I think
Mike.
that was the most I've ever bled.
Yeah, he's had a few good bleeds, Tass. Tass he can get some colour when he gets going. Yeah, it's impressive, some of the colour. I think he got a colour at Alpha too, I think, one time, didn't you? One of the shows.
At the last one we did.
Yeah, you got
Oh,
colour at that
really?
show. Yeah, so yeah.
Hey, brother, you remember one night, Tass?
Yep.
I tattooed you with the belt one night. Have a
Oh,
look at that one.
And I believe I won that match too. That's why I won the
Yeah,
South Pacific title.
It's a nice
Okay,
Yeah,
I
we
believe-
weren't
Yeah.
happy about that. But
You didn't hit him hard
But-
enough, Paul. It was your fault I lost.
well,
And keep in mind, George was the referee that night as well. So,
George,
yeah,
I think you went straight
down
to
the
three,
line,
didn't you,
around the
Tass?
corner, straight down the line again.
yeah, exactly.
Tass,
the
Tass,
thing is,
tell me question.
Well-
Tell me, go, Paul. Go. You're right.
the thing
Sorry.
is that we'll tell a bit of a story about that match. I remember rocking up to NAW and we were working out the match, and I think Tass, you told me I want you to hit me with a belt, and I was only been managing for not long, a year or two before we did that match, and you said, Paul, I want you to hit me with a belt, and I was so nervous. Like yet again, nerves got the best of me that night, and the thing I didn't know how to hit someone with the belt. So I had to ask you, and a couple of the other guys, please teach me because I don't want to hurt him or hurt you. I don't want to ever
No, it was
hurt
perfect.
anyone.
It was perfectly fine.
And I remember winding up and bang, I hit you with it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, I've hit him. And you sold it like $1 million as usual. And I was so, wondering, is Tass all right? And we got backstage and you said, yeah, I'm all right. Thank you very much. And shake the hand and everything. But just learning, the big learning curve for anyone who comes into NAW, we got so many great guys, yourself, Mike,
absolutely.
and Kane and George, and Tass and all the old veterans. And even the young guys are really good because they teach each other, they swap knowledge which is a great thing in professional wrestling. Even when I was in PWA, they taught me a lot because I got beat up regularly. Got chopped by Steve Frost and everything. So beaten up by Steve Frost, that was a good one. I had the running boot to the head by Jay Andrews, which I got concussion off for like 2 weeks afterward. That wasn't that good. We've got a picture of I hope Kane doesn't mind me putting this up. This is one from us backstage. Stuff. A little bit of that. That's after that match. Look at those guys there. All pretty. Pretty boys in that one. Wish I was at
me, not so much, but anyways.
That was, I said.
It was always fun working with you guys.
It was.
And I believe we're one fall apiece, so we haven't really finished things. So who knows? Maybe one day. You never say never.
You heard that, Mike?
Even in pain, him and his low-life friends, they attacked me with a baseball bat. Sorry, Taz, but you're not so much a low-life, but the mob you're running with, they were all low-lifes with Yuri at the front. He's another low-life, But Tass, a question about your character representing Greece. What did that mean to you to showcase your heritage as a wrestler? Has your mum and dad seen you do it?
Yeah, they came to a few of the Alpha shows at first, and it was really about utilizing my background and representing everybody, like not just Greece but Australia. No matter where you came from, I represented all of you guys. But with my Alexi character at first, like I was just feeling where I wanted to go with it. And then what really kicked it off was when I started using the Zorba music. Because the first time I started doing it, you saw people in the audience up the back dancing in the background, dancing the Zorba as I was coming out to the ring. So it got over straight away.
In terms of a babyface, Tass, the Zorba music, the dancing, the big thumbs up you used to have, what a great babyface you.
The Tass like this. That actually started off
really
as a joke.
Should take credit for that because babyface is no easy feat. Woof. It's and you did it well.
The Tass likes this character actually started off as a rib or a joke, like from the people, because I'm on social media all the time, so I just check on how everyone's going, and obviously you click the like button, like if you like what people are doing, and if you like what you see with people, what their activities are and stuff like that, and that started off as a rib because people started chanting during shows, Tass likes this, and people were just calling. People weren't even calling me Alexi; they were calling me Tass. I think you did that at some points as well during promos. So at some point, I think about 5-6 years in, I figured now it was the time for me to change things up, and I figured I might as well use it and use it as a positive. So I used that. I came out to. I believe it was the Tom Jones music, and that got over instantly. People were chanting, "This was awesome!"
Yeah,
and so I started getting foam hands. They sold out instantly, and I started utilizing because outside of wrestling, I like comics, and one of my favorite comic book characters is Deadpool. So I utilized some of his mannerisms and some of his dialogue into this character, and it got over huge.
It's awesome. What was you going to say before, Mike? Was you adding to it?
I was adding the Alexi Papadopoulos character. We were sitting in the gym, and myself and Steve Alec, we said, "What are we going to do with Tass? What are we going to do with Tom?" There's actually two guys we had really question marks. 3 guys with question marks over. Which was Tass, was Andy Rhodes, and Josh Shooter, right? Green as and were struggling to find their identity when they were starting to get ready for matches, struggling to find identity. And I said, I see Tass as the Greek kid that parents had the fish and chip shop migrated over here.
Yep.
You know, good at and that's what I put it to Tass was that, you good Greek kid, worked in mum and dad's fish and chip shop, Australian Greek, proud of your heritage.
Yep.
Andy Rhodes was sitting in the gym again at 5-star because he's got a 5-star all the time. Love the joint, right? And sitting there talking to, once again, I think Steve Valek was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to do with Andy Rhodes. Oh, Andy. What are we do with Andy? We didn't even know Rhodes. And I started doing Thin of a Plumber, Chuck Jive Man. Ate pork and beans and dined with kings and queens, And I said, he's the common man. The guy is the common man. So let's book him as the common man, right? So that's where Andy Rhodes sort of come from. And originally I brought Shane in to be his tag team partner and guide him. But Shane didn't really want to do it. Shane Sinclair, Insano.
Insano, yeah.
Hold on it. So he ended up actually going out on his own anyway, Andy, and creating his own thing, which was great. And with Josh Shooter, we put him in the ring in front of 5 people and he frees.
Yeah.
He get statue syndrome. Wouldn't move. So what we're going to do, so we're sitting around talking about funny characters, and we come up with Pollo El Diablo, which was Steve Valek come up with, which is the Devil's Chicken.
Right.
The Devil's Chicken. And I'm thinking, I'm 100% sure that we had a on the pole pinata match.
Yes.
And it was him and Denomalous.
It was original.
Wow.
It was going to be Denomalous, but I don't know what happened. So it got changed to it was him and 69 in the pinata on a pole match. That was the first show I think we did in Coolaroo.
Yeah, that's right. And that's my biggest mistake in booking is I never got Denomalous on a show. If I have regret about booking, no Denomalous.
They always fought each other, 69 and Denomalous. They always wanted the spotlight.
King of the
They're
soft
always
core.
arguing. They're a pain in the ass. Those
Mike,
two.
I got a bit of a surprise for you tonight. Now, we couldn't get Denomalous on the show tonight, but he did send me an MP3 voice message. Now, I couldn't get it onto StreamYard because he sent it through at 1 minute to 8. So here's a message all the way from Denomalous from somewhere in Europe. And I take no responsibility for anything he says or the language.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Hello, this is a special message to Mr. Manson. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry I couldn't be on the show today, man, because I couldn't find my mask. And I don't want to go on naked because of all the boys and girls. Anyway, me and Juju Love are sending you all the best, Mr. John Manson. What?
What?
What? Mike Manson? Who the fuck is Mike Manson?
What are we meant to do?
From a superstar like Denomalous, he wouldn't remember me. I respect that. And just thank you for Denomalous. Thank you for giving me your kind words of wisdom. I appreciate it.
I'll send that.
Very good.
I'll send that one to you, Mike. It's great.
Send it to me. I'm going to use it as my ringtone. Ringtone. That's what they're going to get.
He's going to charge me money, brother.
He is. Mike, how pumped up are you to get NAW back on the road? Super pumped. You're ready?
Pumped. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm training at the moment. I'm ready. I mean, I'm looking for 2021. I'm looking to do some matches too. I'm not going to be just sitting on the sidelines like I planned this year. I'm going to be training lots of guys. That's the aim with George. Build George's school up.
Yep.
This will be a big Tash. This will be a big year for NAW. It will be a big year for everybody. That's what I want. Hopefully we can get through this COVID. Everyone's safe. Even if I've got to train in training bubbles, I'm even thinking about that at the moment where I can say, get in guys, 3 or 4 guys, girls, whatever, and train them in training bubbles and don't interact them because my biggest issue is not so much myself getting sick because I'm going to survive, whatever happens. But at George's age, we don't want him getting sick.
No.
Right? And it's a very expensive thing too to clean out his shed if that was found there. So that's what's really held up training. The ring is being rebuilt as we speak. Once they give me the go-ahead to go back to George's, I've got 4 new poles for it, a new center spring. Pretty much 85% of it will be new, right? So the training ring will be 100%. And I want George's name everywhere. I want everybody to know who the best trainer in the world is George.
Mm.
Okay? If without George, there's no wrestling in Victoria, probably down the eastern seaboard or Tasmania. There is no wrestling in Australia along those points. Cole Devaney taught a lot of guys out of South Australia and Western Australia, but pretty much everywhere else is George. You can wrestle anybody in another state, and we wrestle the same. Doesn't matter who you are. So one big thing for me is to make sure his name and his school is out there and getting the respect that it deserves.
Absolutely.
What about you, Tass? What's going on, mate? What's going in through that head of yours? Are you ready, Tass?
To a degree, yeah. Because as you know, back in December, I lost a loser leaves NAW match. So as far as NAW goes, you never say never, but I might not be back there for a while. But at the same time, I'm looking to broaden my horizons and look at different promotions elsewhere. NAW will still be my home, but I'm 31 at this point. So now I'm looking to spread my wings and go seek out my fortunes in different areas. I know I've already got places like Gold Class Wrestling, which is in the Geelong, Lara area. I've contacted the promoters from Colac. I've got friends up in Adrenaline Pro Wrestling, which is in the Frankston, Seaford area. So maybe I'll look into those. We'll see how we go. But I'll always keep an AW in here.
And Tash, you've also done a bit of acting as well?
Yes. That started around 20, because in high school I was always involved in drama classes, and I've been in a couple of school plays. But getting into movies and that image is from an upcoming movie called Hotel Underground, which is actually where you got that photo of Jason as well. That's where that came from. Hotel Underground, Mike was even involved in that as well. And it's basically the way you could describe it is Fight Club meets Saw. So it's got action, it's got horror, it's got thriller elements to it. And yeah, I actually had the distinction of getting a sneak peek at some of the footage that's been finalized, and it's looking really, really good. I can't wait for people to see it. But how I got into acting was really by chance. You may remember a guy that used to do filming for some of the wrestling shows. Long hair, beard.
Steve Rabbit.
I remember him.
Darren?
No. Darren. He had the gorilla position, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right,
yeah. He was filming a music video, and he was looking at some of the guys to help out with the video. So he got myself, he got Alex Hayes involved, he got Slick Steve involved, and a woman by the name of Danny Lugosi. And we filmed a music video for the Choirs, I think that is the name of his band. It's the music video was called Atomic Rain, and that's where really the acting kicked off for me, started for me. And I did a couple of extra parts for Daniel Armstrong for some of his movies, like From Parts Unknown I already mentioned, and also for Sheborg Massacre. And they went on to be huge indie films here in Melbourne.
Excellent.
And through when I got into Majestic Films, which is from Hotel Underground, and also Diary of a Fat Man, which they brought in to film a segment of Diary of a Fat Man with NAW. So he got me involved as a referee. He got Elliot Sexton, who's over in WWE right now. Yeah. And we were involved in a wrestling sequence with the main lead actor, Stephen Hart, because he was had a dream sequence where he was wrestling Elliot Sexton for the title.
Okay.
and we got George involved in that as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that was my first like big, not so much big role because it was just the one scene, but my first real step up in
Film and
acting
TV.
in film.
Yeah.
It's good.
And
Very, very
with
good.
the Hotel Underground, I was originally asked to do a smaller part, and then when we got to the first day of filming, Steve Ravik, the director, came to me and said, "Look, we've changed up a few things in the script. We have a bigger role that you might be perfect for." And it was one of the lead villains. Rufus, my character's name is, and yeah, I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I got to film scenes with Andy McPhee. I got film scenes with Nikki Nitro, Carrie from Japan, Jessica from Jessica Wolf. Jessica Wolf. She's from Finland. I think she's a musician, actor.
Kicked my ass. Kicked my ass.
Yeah. You actually did. You did really well. When you came on, Mike.
I had
that was
no
really...
idea what I was doing. I'll be honest. I had no idea what I was doing. I got told that they needed someone to get beaten up. I said, "That's all right. It's cool. Yeah, I'm used to that." And I was in Sydney doing my SWIC 1 in short arm weapons, knife, to be a trainer, to be a coach. And I got a message from Gracie. She goes, "Oh, there's been a change in plans. You have to do what's the magician's name? What's his name? What is his real name?
Matty
Liam?
Lyle.
Matt,
Liam.
right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
Liam. You're doing Liam, and here's the script." So I get the script. There's no Liam on the script. So I'm figuring I'm just going to get in there and beaten up. It's just cool. That's cool. It's what I intended, to get beaten up. I get there and I have lines. I have this. I have that. I've just said to Steve Raddick, the director, I've gone, I don't know the lines. Because what do you mean don't know the lines? I said I showed him the text message. I said, text message says that I'm doing Liam's part. There's no Liam. I read through the script. There's no Liam. I was doing Ben. Was it Ben?
I think so.
Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really 100% unprepared. Right? Absolutely got nothing. So he goes, "I'm just going to word that. I'm going to tell you the line. Just do it." So I think they were expecting to be in there a couple of hours. I knocked out the lines in about 40 minutes. Just Mike Manson did it. And the filming in the ring took longer than the actual lines. Right? I thought it was going to be the other way around. Right? And I didn't realize how many takes they do on like in pro wrestling. You have one take, you make it work, and if you don't make it work, you move on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's try
this is a whole different.
Let's try it like that. Let's do it from this angle. Mick, can you bump here again? Can you bump there again, Mick? Can you bump there again? She's going to kick you in the head now, Mick. Bump again. And this woman, when she threw a punch, she didn't miss, mate. You had to slip the shot, or she was going to take your head off. All right. Yeah. So she was great to work with. Don't get me wrong, I have no regrets, but it was an eye opener. I'd never been on a film set. I never done anything. I don't even like having my picture taken at a birthday party, right? So for me, it was like, wow, this is like a real. And when I walked out of there, I said, "That's going to be a dog's breakfast." I'm telling you now.
Like from what I saw, it really worked well. Like, and from looking back at the footage, like it's gonna look great on the big screen. Honestly, I can't wait to see it. But and later on, we got to work with James Storm.
Yeah, my son got a photo with him. He's a big fan. So yeah.
And the whole movie, the whole experience was so great, and it was amazing. And by the end of it, one of the main people in charge of the movie, Neil, he came up to me and said, "This is something that you should pursue further down the line," and because they loved what I was doing on camera. And I was like, okay, cool. So I started up a Star Now account, and I've been sending out auditions sending out my resume to certain people, and I've been considered for several parts, but I haven't heard anything back yet. So fingers crossed that things go well.
Yeah, really well and stuff like house hosts and stuff. Yeah, it'd be good.
Oh, we'll see how we go.
Hey, Kane, you did a movie, didn't you?
Sorry?
What's that?
Shane did a movie recently, didn't you? With
Yeah, I did a movie,
And
with
James?
Crackers and James.
Mm.
They didn't make the actual movie because Crackerjack injured his knee during the filming, but it was really good. Called Paper Champions, and it's out now, and it's been in cinemas in all over. I think in Melbourne it's going to come into the cinemas when they reopen again, but it was in the Queensland cinemas and wherever they're open, it's just bouncing around at the moment. So it's pretty cool. It's got Gary Sweet in it, Luke Saliba, and it's good, great, good times. Yeah, had a lot of fun.
I was in Round the Twist.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had a big part in one of the episodes in the last series of Round the Twist.
Okay.
I worked in film and television for about 10 years, so I got to do a couple of little parts, blink and you miss it part. But yeah, that was all right. But anyway, guys, Mike and
I'm just
Tass.
looking at Mike here, brother Paul.
Oh, look,
I'm looking at Mike, and I just want to go over and just start pounding on Mike. I don't know what it is. If it was if it was those last Survivor Series, Mike was on my team, but I could tell deep down that Mike just wanted to wipe me out, Paul. You know when you got a guy in the corner and he's breathing heavy and he's looking at you at the corner of his eye. I think Mike just wanted to get in there with the war machine and just really smack him up like the old days,
Everybody's a victim, mate. Everybody.
Exactly.
I remember at one of the last, Mike, when you worked one of the last Pure shows, you did the Cactus Jack rolling senton. It might have been the elbow or the rolling senton off the ring apron to the floor.
Yeah, sometimes I still pull that out, and the elbow off the ring apron too. I still pull that out from time to time. At 48, I still do these crazy things, but I enjoy it. If the fans got me revved up, I love it. And anytime, Kane, you want to do a match, sign your name on the dotted line, mate. I'm there.
I've got a whole list. I've got a whole list of people I want to work with against Power.
Yeah. I better write a will if I want to wrestle Mike again. Holy hell.
You better get a tag team partner, Mike.
You get Cataclysm, I'll find somebody, right?
Yeah.
And we get it on.
I'm worried about who Mike's going to find, Paul, because he was a great tag team with Georgia Hitman. He was great tag team with Larry Rhino, great tag team with Jungle Cat, and the list is just, it goes on and on. So it's going to happen, Mike.
I might grab one of these good rookies we got, tag up with it, give him a little bit of Mike Manson sauce. Brother. We'll get it on.
Brother, don't worry. I've already booked the match. He doesn't know, but his new tag team partner's Edwin, the referee. So we've got this in the bag.
Don't worry, he'll be right.
Don't worry.
Give him Mike Manson sauce, he'll be right. Don't you worry.
A couple of months prepping, and you'll have Edwin doing,
Oh, he'll be
shooting
in
star
George's
press.
gym, lifting,
And of course, you've got
30
Tass
kilos.
there. You've got Tass there, and no one knows.
Tass is always ready to go for a match, isn't he? Have a look.
He's
He even had a
nice.
bit of
Next
shave
minute, he's
tonight.
belting you with a
have
baseball bat. Next minute, he's nice. Next minute, he's killing you. He's hanging out at train stations with a hoodie on. He's a madman.
Sometimes I might have to bury the hatchet in your head, Kane.
Brother.
Aaron, get the will ready, all right?
Brother.
Protect the Kingswood. Yeah, go on. You're right. What's that?
Speaking about Tass, and he likes to keep in manly sort of shape and grooming. Well, he tried a bit of chest work, and I think something went a bit funny here.
Oh, there's a story there. That was actually at Wrestle Rock.
Yeah.
That was at Wrestle Rock show that I worked in 2011. I was in the Battle Royal, and the person who eliminated me was Kellyanne. But the way she did it, though, she got a one of those wax strips. I was I was near the ropes. She put it on my chest and just ripped it. I've gone flying over the top rope. And the funny thing about it was, it grew back the next day. I'm not
That's
even
Greek
kidding.
blood.
I woke up and there's already
Greek
stubble
blood.
on there.
Greek blood. That's the blood.
Greek blood. Whoppa,
It's the
whoppa.
blood, mate.
Anyway,
Oh,
look,
good
just to finish off, guys, tonight, because we've gone just about 2 hours. Mike, if people, training back at NAW, as soon as we get, the all clear with the COVID guy, it's going to be full on. We expect all the workers to be there.
Definitely, I expect everyone, and also to new guys. We're looking at reteaching, finding new rookies, and educating new people to come into the system as well. We've got guys that are now starting to spread their wings a bit more and wanting to go to other places. So we want to bring new guys in and start, teaching new guys and getting the next talent pool their opportunity. And as long as myself, Kane, Tass drops in from time to time, the veterans hang around. We're going to train these kids really good. Lozen, definitely for the women, need Lozen, right? Long as the veterans are around, we're going to train the group of veterans we're going to train really, really good rookies. We'll have really, really good guys coming through. So it's important in that aspect. That for me is my number one thing. And I'll do a couple of matches next year, have a bit of fun. So
Yeah, bloody earth.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, thanks for being on the show tonight. It's been awesome. It's been fantastic.
Anything else?
had a great show. Thank you
you.
very much. Sir. Thank
It
you.
was great.
Thank you both, guys.
Anything else you'd like to add, Tash? You good?
Yeah, Tess.
I'll just say this, in terms of lockdown and everything that's happened throughout this year, and I've spoken to a couple of people about this. I'm just going to say that it's going to be a much different world in terms of the wrestling side of things when we get back, but it's going to be up to everyone involved in it to make it much better than it was before.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. Definitely.
Mike, I'm going to be
Yeah,
looking for you, buddy. I'm looking for you, Mike.
Not hard to find, mate. My mate going bald and friggin' angry as hell. Don't worry, hard to find. Angry little man.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much again. Stay tuned to our NAW. And thank you very much. Take care, guys.
No, thank you,
Take care of
guys.
the family and everything.
You're most
We'll talk
welcome.
very soon.
Thank you
And,
so much.
Yeah, now it's back to just you and me.
Very honored.
Kane. How was that?
Well, brother, what a show that was, huh?
Excellent.
Big Mike Manson. Mean Mike.
Tass. How's Tass?
And
Looking in
Tass
great shape.
Yeah,
Looking great shape.
he's good. He's ready to go, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mm.
New mindset. I think his new characters coming up as well. He's
And we only scratch the surface once again, brother.
yeah.
It's hard to squeeze a full career in, but it was good. It was
The
good.
first four-way here.
Mhm.
Two guests on at the same time, but it's great. Big guys in NAW and in the history of Melbourne pro wrestling. So can't wait. Look, can't wait for us just to get back there and to see the fans and especially to see
Definitely.
George. We all want to see George and
just
and
all
Owen,
the guys being
little
able to
Owen.
wrestle again and
yeah.
seeing all our fans and
Yeah. So
enough's enough. It's got to stop. So we need to get the show back on the road, brother.
yeah. So well, as usual, brother, I'm not too sure what's going to happen next week. It might be another lightning strikes with just you and
Yeah.
me. We
We'll
could
see
get
what happens.
yeah, we'll see what happens. We've got
Mhm.
Peter C. Con or Pete the Chef might come on and do a bit about food and training.
I mean, we didn't
Stuff,
give
which is
Crusher
always
much
good.
time either, but
He's got no money, mate. He can't afford to be on the show anymore. He had to borrow money off Nicole.
yeah, they were saying something about the airtime's expensive. So.
Yeah, but you never know. We can get Crusher back on the show. Again, we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe George. We'll see. We can get
Big
a
George.
couple more words from George. He's got many stories to tell. We'll see. We've still got some open
Yeah.
invitations out there to.
There's many more.
a
I've
couple
contacted a
of
lot of guys that I wanted to
Yeah.
bring on the show, but some of the guys
It's
are,
fun, mate. Yeah.
are not in the right headspace at the moment, which is understandable. But
Yeah.
it's good. It's great having people.
Yeah,
Mm.
and we like to thank Peter Ferry for being on the last show as well. That was
Yeah,
fantastic.
that was a great show.
Yeah.
All
But
the guests
anyway-
we've had have been fantastic.
Brother, you sent me a video before. 2 minutes before
I
the show
did.
started. You sent me this video. Now, what's this about? Or do you want me to just play it?
No. I send you a lot of things.
Yeah, you do.
I sent you a video of Mike as well, I think. Didn't I?
No, that was a brand new one you sent me. You want to play it? You want me to play it?
Yeah, you play it. Who knows? Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I don't know what I send half the time. It's just random stuff for you to use.
Thank God it's
Let's go. Fire it up.
I'm doing this for George. George the Hitman Julio is the godfather of wrestling in this country, a living legend. This man came to me and he said, Crackerjack, I need you to stop the war machine. You understand? And I do understand. George lives to give back to this sport, to give back to wrestling. And on this night, NAW Hall of Fame, a night that honors not only George, but the other man who trained me, Ricky Diamond, at a company that's been an institution for as long as I've been lacing up the boots. Yeah, I understand. And I am honored to defend all of this against the war machine. This war machine. He doesn't care about anything that George stands for. The war machine and the soldiers of the highway, all they care about is taking power and keeping it for themselves. This war machine gives back nothing except pain and cruelty and suffering. But hey, that's cool. I've dealt it nothing but pain and suffering for the better part of 2 decades. Pain and suffering! And you, War Machine, Morozov, you look hungry. So I'm gonna bring a big pile of pain sandwiches for you. I want you, Morozov.
Crackerjack, anyone who assists him dies. Everyone at NAW belongs to me.
Stand, face me, toe to toe.
The locker room, the canteen staff, everybody. Do you understand?
You, Morozov, you are a monster. In all my years of plying my trade of bloodshed, I have never faced an opponent as massive, as diabolical, as terrifying as you. So you and I will go to war, Morozov. I will stand toe to toe with a monster. I will look up into those dead glassy eyes of yours and I will invite, welcoming, whatever it is you think I have coming.
Stands in the way of the war machine. No one stands in the way of my power. Not George the Hitman.
So you're going to put me down? You're going to break me? You're going to kill me? You are going to kill me! Well, go on! Kill me! Kill me! Or do I have to do everything myself?
Very good, brother.
Yeah, I just want to kill him
Very
again.
good.
And again and again and again. The crackerjack he brought out. He brought the war into me, brother. Yeah, he did. He is an opponent that just took me to the edge. Yeah. Whoa, what a rush.
Yeah.
Brother, craziness. I know it's been a long show, but he's been one of my, it was an honor to wrestle such a warrior. You know, brother, I've mentioned the top guys, like, you know, some of my favorite opponents, Big Ass, but Crackerjack's up there at the top. He took it to me, brother, and that exchange of promos, the hatred, the fight. You remember the lump of wood over my head? Do you remember it, Paul?
Very much.
Do you remember the lump of wood?
I remember the staple gun.
Yeah. Wow, what an opponent. The legendary Crackerjack.
Anyway, brother.
What I'd give for a glass of that action just one more time.
It's going to happen. Don't worry. I'm your manager. I'll make sure that happens. Yeah, very much so. All right, people. Thank you very much for watching Powerhouse
Beat him
Live.
up in front of his brother, Nicholas, man. Beat him up in front of Gore. And Gore, there is nothing you can do about it.
He's wound up tonight, people. Look at him. The big man's wound up. Like him, Mike
Crackerjack.
not on here anymore. All right,
Yeah.
brother.
Okay, bro. Thank you for tonight.
See everyone
Thank you.
next
Melbourne.
week.
Thank
Let's
you,
go
world.
out with a bit of Iron Maiden. Cheers, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no